The Miami Heat clearly need to get rid of Terry Rozier, and on today's show, I am going to look at multiple Terry Rozier trade ideas. I am Nic Rohloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports, and before I dive into some of the ideas, I want to know, based off what you think, will it happen? I know we all want him to be traded, but will a Terry Rozier trade occur before the season begins in October? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Let's get started with the show. We're talking Terry Rozier trade ideas because, plain and simple, the Miami Heat cannot have a player that is making $26.6 million but does not see the floor. And he should not see the floor because he's a horrific basketball player. At least that's what we saw last season. Will he bounce back? I don't know. Probably not. I don't even want to see him attempt to try to bounce back. But having someone basically be a dead cap because he's not playing, that just simply can't happen. And with Miami, $1.4 million over the luxury tax, in any Terry Rozier trade, I would imagine Miami tries to take back at least $1.5 million less. Why is that the number? Well, because if they take back $1.5 million less, so he makes 26.6, they take back 25.1. That would get them underneath the luxury tax. They avoid the repeaters tax, which is something Miami has let it known that they are probably trying to do, jump out of it for a year and then get right back in it so they don't have the continuing penalty that you get hit with in this new CBA. So in these trade ideas, we're going to look to try to get a better player or better multiple players and get underneath that luxury tax. The first trade idea I'll bring to the table is this one with the Chicago Bulls that I put on my Twitter and we've actually talked about in the past week. Vucevic to Miami. The Bulls get Rozier and a second-round pick. Nikola Vucevic might be as good of a player as you can get in a one-on-one swap for Terry Rozier. Another positive of Vucevic, well, he does in fact make $20.1 million, giving you more space underneath the luxury tax. Last season for Chicago, he put up a lot of numbers. Now, granted, that is on a bad basketball team, and he does not defend whatsoever. But this is a player in a limited role as your backup big could provide you with a massive return. And we know the Chicago Bulls want off of him very, very bad. They tried to move at the trade deadline. No one was biting. And they tried to move him earlier in this offseason. No one has been biting. So there is a chance that they are just like, crap, man, we're not going to get a positive return back for Nikola Vucevic. Maybe we just swap Rozier, who is going to be a larger expiring for us next offseason, $5 million more. They can do it in their financial books. And we'll just pick up a second-round pick as a added benefit. I would be willing to attach one second-round pick to move off of Rozier if I got a player as productive as Nikola Vucevic. Because to me, he could be the perfect backup for you in Miami this season if you are trying to make a little bit of noise in the Eastern Conference. Vooch could play alongside Bam. He could play alongside Ware. Now, I probably wouldn't want to see extended minutes of Vooch and Ware together because I don't know which one of them would be able to step out on the perimeter and defend. I suppose Ware could do it slightly, but Vucevic certainly could not. The point is, it gives you a lot of versatility in your front court. You can have so many different combinations of just Vucevic out there and Jovic at the 4, Vucevic and Bam, like I mentioned, Ware and Vucevic. Like, it could be various interesting. And with him shooting 40% from 3 last season, you wonder if that could continue this season, and that would be a huge pickup for Miami off the bench. Another interesting trade idea. We're going to revisit one that I've kind of mentioned before with the New Orleans Pelicans, where the Miami Heat get Dejounte Murray, and all they give up is Terry Rozier, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Haywood Highsmith, and a 2026 second-round pick. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, wow, you're giving up Highsmith, Jaquez, and a second alongside Rozier for a guy in Dejounte Murray. Yeah, I think I would be able to, and I'd be willing to. Why? Well, this clears the way for more minutes for Pallel Larson, who has looked pretty solid in the Heat Summer League in this offseason to this point. With Highsmith and Jaquez on the roster, Larson's going to get minutes, but I don't think he's going to be able to get as many minutes as you might want him to be as a pivotal player off of the bench. Plus, this trade would save you $5.3 million. You create 2 roster spots, which would then give you more flexibility in another trade potentially, or the capability of going out and signing one free agent, staying underneath the luxury tax, and making even more of a well-rounded roster, as there are some solid free agents still on the market right now. There is a lot of added benefits to potentially making this trade. We'll explore another one here in a second. But make sure you are subscribed, because we are going to continue to bring you daily content here at the Heat Report. And whenever the Heat make a move, we will have you covered. So subscribe for daily Heat coverage. One of the other added benefits is simply you get Dejounte Murray. And yes, I know his contract isn't the best. 3 years, making just over $30 million each season. But when he plays, he is an excellent combo guard. He can score in the mid-range. He can get to the rim. He struggled from beyond the arc last season in his 31 games played. There's no doubt about it. Struggled from the field in general. But Dejounte Murray can get to his spot. He can run an offense. He's a pretty solid distributor. But the part that I really like about Murray, he is an excellent defender. He's also 6'4", 6'5", with a 6'11" wingspan. He's long. He's lengthy. He can get into opponents. And he would be a really good fit next to Tyler Hero in the backcourt. And he could potentially start next to Hero. And then you bring Norman Powell off the bench as him being that super sub-sixth man, which had him top 5 and 6th man of the year voting during the 2022-23 season and the 23-24 season. Now, it was unclear when Dejounte Murray would return to the hard floor, because he did tear his Achilles on January 1st, which is all right, when is he going to return? He would probably be able to return before the trade deadline, so maybe you don't get a ton of production from him early on in the season, and it would probably take him a little bit to get back into the flow of things. But as I mentioned, you're not going to play Rozier anyway. So in this hypothetical trade, yeah, Murray wouldn't play, but you're only trading 2 guys in Highsmith and Jaquez who, all right, you missed them for half the season. It is what it is. This is a high upside swing that could benefit Miami, because you're not getting rid of a first-round pick or anything like that. It's a fascinating idea if you're trying to buy into this core that you have right now. Number 3 on my trade idea list is with the Blazers that I've talked about in the past. You get Robert Williams and Matisse Thybulle for Terry Rozier. No draft picks whatsoever. You just get rid of Rozier, you get a backup center, and Thybulle as an expiring that holds up that last roster spot. Now, many people would probably be like, why are we doing this trade? Well, you would get under the luxury tax with the 2 expiring contracts. They make about 24, maybe 25.1. It's barely getting under the luxury tax for you, but it gets you under it nonetheless. You get a flyer backup center in Robert Williams, who can provide you with a lot of good things when healthy. The issue is that he never is healthy. Thybulle probably isn't going to be a difference maker whatsoever. He's probably never going to play. But as I mentioned, you get Robert Williams, who, when healthy, is a really good rim protector, potential lob threat. Thybulle as an expiring contract. It's an interesting idea. Williams also rebounds, too, which I like about him. They call him Time Lord. Remember the battles between us and him when he was with the Boston Celtics? That was a long time ago. But when he's on the floor, Robert Williams can make some noise. This is a player that could give you something here. You get 2 expiring deals, like I mentioned. That's an idea I'm certainly floating out there if nothing ends up happening with Andrew Wiggins and you're really desperate to find a backup center. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You get rid of Rozier, you keep the expiring money, get under the luxury tax, and find a backup center. Actually, you just killed 4 birds. Final trade idea coming up in a second, but make sure you take advantage of the sale. We showed this on a video yesterday, but I want to make sure you didn't miss it if you didn't watch that show. This Heat quarter set, I bought it for $80. Well, I should have waited, because right now it's on sale for $40. It is $45 off. Go to chatsports.com/HeatQZipSale. Links in the description and comments of today's video. I don't know how long that sale is going to be on there for, so take advantage. Don't miss out right now. The final trade that I wanted to showcase. This one is, it's interesting. It's just a player swap. You send Rozier to Utah, a team that you just did a deal with in a 3-team deal that lands you Norman Powell. You get Jusuf Nurkic. Nurkic was really bad last year. There's no doubt about that. But you save $7.2 million in this trade. Nurkic makes 19, Rozier makes 26. So you save $7.2 mil. You get a massive body to add to your front court who over the season between Charlotte and Phoenix averaged 9 points and 8 rebounds a game. Like, I'm not going to rely on him to give you a lot of good minutes, but he's a body. If Bam misses a game, if Ware misses a game, Nurkic would fill in. He battles on the glass. I would not give him a large offensive role because that turns out to be a disaster, which we saw quite a bit with him in Phoenix. This longtime trailblazer who has given you minutes in the postseason, not you specifically, but Portland, could come in and give you something as that third center. And I'll tell you what, when he's in the game, you will not be bullied in the paint because he is a body with a lot of weight to it. You see it, 290, and he throws it around. All right, so those are the 4 trade ideas that I had here for Terry Rozier at this point in the offseason. I want to know which one was your favorite. Was it the Bulls where you get Vucevic for Rozier in a second? That's number 1. Was it where you swing big for Dejounte Murray? You add Jaquez Highsmith in a second to Rozier's contract, that's number 2. Was it maybe that Blazers trade where you get Robert Williams III and Matisse Thybulle? That's number trace. Or the last one that I just mentioned here with the Jazz where you get Yusuf Nurkic and you send Terry Rozier. That's numero cuatro. Let me know your thoughts on which trade idea is your favorite. I think mine is probably either 1 or 2. You could talk me into that Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle one pretty quickly. I'd probably rank Nurkic as my least favorite, which is probably subconsciously why I had it as the 4th trade idea on the show. But I think Vucevic on a 1-year deal would be awesome. You save $5 million this year. You also get the expiring money, and I think he's a center that would fit really well for you off of the bench. Be able to teach maybe Ware a little bit more offensively too in terms of post footwork and shooting form, which I really like as a potential underrated option in that trade. And then I'm also not opposed to swinging big on Dejounte Murray. Murray's a player that I have targeted for the Miami Heat in trade talks for a long time. A couple years ago when he was on Atlanta, before he got traded to the Pelicans, and I even talked about, I think, trading for Dejounte Murray in a video earlier this offseason, buying low on him with that injury. So either getting Murray or Vucevic for Rozier would be a home run in my opinion. The final word on this show, though. Miami needs to find a new home for Terry Rozier sooner rather than later. Like, would I be that upset if Miami carries Rozier into the season and then ultimately flips him at the deadline for more expiring pieces? No, I wouldn't be that upset with it. And God forbid a star player asks out as a disgruntled player in the middle of the season, or like a team like the San Antonio Spurs leans into the youth build and they ultimately trade De'Aaron Fox just a year after acquiring him because they're going to ride with Dylan Harper, Vassell, and Stephon Castle. By the way, Fox has not signed an extension to this point. Find that very interesting. So, I wouldn't be that mad if they carried it into the season, but I would prefer it to happen before the year so we can have just more clarity on this Heat roster and rotation going into the season. Plus, we need to find a backup center, and if we don't make a trade, I'm kind of scared that if we don't trade for Wiggins or Rozier, we're not going to be able to find a backup center because they're going to want to keep a roster spot open for flexibility, and that gives me super nerve-wracking feelings because of the lack of front court depth. But as I always mention, if the Heat do make a trade, we will have you covered in the video. So make sure you subscribe. Join us here at the Heat Report. We're a family growing every single day, and I appreciate everyone who has subscribed recently. But if you haven't, don't wait any longer. Join us today.